Hello, everybody in the Excellent team. As you might have read in the email, the purpose of this video is just to share with you the initial ideas of what this neuroconscious time management and productivity offering could be about. So all I'm asking for you is take a look at this video and then just send me your feedback via email to see if it makes sense to keep on working on it or not. Now, with that said, let me just share the screen and let's get started. All right, so now you should be watching my screen. And let me just blow it up and get started with the presentation. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, for the lack of a better title, by the way, I would love to have your feedback on title. We'll call it Neuroconscious Time Management and Productivity. And the context, the first part of this is just the story behind it. So the story goes like this. The last 10 years have been wild. You know, the rise of smartphones, social media, digitization disrupting entire industries. All of those things add up to new competing demands for employees in organizations. Move faster and innovate, but also deliver this quarter's results. So how do we make sense of this? And on top of this, acceleration and additional demands, at the end of the day still has 24 hours. So how can you deliver these demands for the modern workplace without sacrificing your personal life for it? So if you think about stuff that we hear in our customers, we might hear things such as, I'm overbooked with back-to-back meetings, emails, and what am I supposed to do? The work or the coaching or my personal growth or my family life? Or how can I deliver at the level my organization needs me to without putting even more time and energy that I'm already putting it? Or, I understand the competitive pressures, but what time am I supposed to innovate? Or how can I deliver the new board's revenue targets if they're making my team smaller? So just think about these things we might have heard from customers, which essentially means there's a crunch for time and resources. The good news is the same way that the last 10 years have brought a lot about new demands, they're also bringing new help. And if you can think about the new discoveries in neurosciences and psychologies and optimal performance, there's many things we know now that we didn't know before. So this is part of the help that comes to figure out this puzzle. There's also new tools we have to manage the mind and the body. And by the mind, obviously we'll go into attention, the brain, and things about it. We'll go around nutrition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's new work methodologies. There's new ways in which we can work. Many of these are inspired by what we learned from Silicon Valley becoming a powerful force in the world. Some others are just in general, but the whole point is there's different ways of doing work that allow you to get better results. And there's also new tools to extend your brain's capabilities. Technology that allows your brain to do more. So if we put these things together, the new discoveries in neuroscience, psychology, the new things we know about the mind and the body, the new ways to work and the new tools, we can certainly offer something to face the demands of today's work. And that's the idea of Excellence NCMTP, Neuroconscious Time Management and Productivity. Again, we need a better name. The whole point of this is center yourself, go deeper, and do not more, do better, and be more. Another way of thinking about how we frame the value proposition of this is we're bringing all the new stuff together for you, but we're building it on top of the timeless. So yes, we're bringing the cutting edge of the neurosciences, nutrition, time contraction and expansion, the work methodologies, the tools, but it's all based on consciousness, the timeless, the things that has been proven over and over again, so that we can increase your consciousness and skills so that you can have better performance at work and increase or protect your personal time so that you can have a more fulfilling life. So that's what we're trying to achieve with this offering. Now, this offering will help people. If this is a slide that you're thinking we're presenting to a customer, if I was telling this to a customer, I would tell them, look, this offering will allow you to get increased understanding of your brain function, your body function, and how to better manage your time so that you get additional time, increased mental energy, increased physical energy. This list could be longer, by the way. These three things could be longer, but just think about this is like the very highest level type of benefits that this offering could bring about. Okay, if at this point you think this could be of value, now let's go deep into, okay, what does this offering look like? So the overview would be, I think we can pitch this for middle management directors and senior leaders, C-suite type of folks. Could also work for individual contributors and more junior people. We'll just need to look at the numbers. In terms of the format or the components, it has an online component that is pre-session. We do work online to get prepared. Then we have an in-person session, which can be half a day or a 2-day workshop. And then post the session, we can do online follow-up alongside ongoing coaching, can be in person, remotely, whatever the format is. I think the cost, we should be pricing it above the regular Excellent Conscious Business offering. Happy to have this discussion. This is just my initial attempt. Now, who can we use this with? As mentioned earlier, we're thinking about middle management and directors. What we can give them is the cutting edge applicable knowledge on how they can further maximize their performance as individuals and people leaders, and acquiring tools that they can use on their own work and providing tools for their team. And obviously getting continued support in the journey, aka coaching. For the more senior leaders, we should be looking at all of the things that I just mentioned, but also how do we give them tools to create the organizational conditions to achieve agile deep work, and combining a couple of common concepts here. But the whole point is how do we get the organization to be more agile and go deeper when they work so that they can have better results. Now, if we think of the offering alternatives, I mentioned there's like a short version and a longer version. On the left-hand side, we'll see the shorter version. I'm calling it the state of the art of you. And it's a 4 hours in-person session. And what's in it for the participants, how do we give them evidence that they can actually do more of the work going deeper and faster? And once we've convinced them with the evidence, give them direction of where to find out more information and how to do this. For the sponsoring organization, their employees will now be armed with concrete tools to increase their productivity without needing to add more works in the day, more hours of work in a day. And obviously, this will help them have increased employee morale. Now, if we go to the right-hand side column, in this case, now we're talking about the in-depth workshop, which is everything that I just said for the 4-hour session. And on top of that, you will leave the session with new mind tools and tech tools, understood, practiced, and more important of all, ready to deploy the very next work day. This is not an investment that will pay up in a very distant future. This is something you can start doing now. And obviously for the sponsoring organization, they're empowering their workforce with scientifically backed knowledge and tools to utilize. So these are roughly the size of the offerings. I think we can do this with groups from 20 to 80 or 100 people or more. Now the life cycle, as I mentioned, before the in-person meeting, we do something online. Then we work in person, and then post that we'll have a community for support for people that want to continue exploring this, and also one-on-one group coaching. Now, if we think of the content, I'm just going to give you some, snippets of pieces of content. But think about it this way. Part one is what do people need to know about this? And I would like to get started with the case for peak performance. What is it? How can it be attained? What scientifically backed evidence do we have of its existence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll talk about our own real life potential as individuals, and then so on and so forth. Many topics beneath this. Then your brain 101, the brain's physical structure, the brain's operating circuits. What's happening in this? So we get a better understanding of how our brain operates, and we can work according to its nature. And the third part, paying attention to your attention, which is our most valuable resource. So we'll talk about attention, how to manage it, and we'll pay special focus on the leader's role in attention management in an organization. Then the fourth part is, well, now we know these things about brain and attention. What is going on in our current environment in technology? And we'll talk about how our brain is a very monetizable thing and how that has led for our brain to be, targeted by many multi-billion-dollar companies. So whether it's the distractions coming from Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google, et cetera, all these companies, their value as a company is predicated on their ability of attracting our attention to them. So this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We need to understand how it works so that we can use these things to our advantage versus using them the way that these companies want us to use them, which is giving them as much attention as we possibly can. Part two is, now that we have this understanding, what can you do? And I think at the bottom, we should start with fueling your body. Again, at this point, everybody might think that we all know how to eat, or most people know how to eat well enough. And I would challenge that notion. Lots of research on this, but just basically saying, a lot of the information that we have on how to eat correctly was generated by the food industry, not by science. And now we know that many of the things that we're eating and how we're eating are not good for us. They're detrimental. So how do we change that? How are we able to sustain our energy throughout the entire day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That's one topic. Then the next one, how do you extend your being's capabilities through tools for the mind? And we'll go deep in how do you master the management of your mind states, of your emotions, et cetera, hacks for the mind, et cetera. Then tools for productivity. There's the specific productivity methodologies we described earlier. We'll go in depth in them. And then tools to extend your brain. How can you use technology to extend your memory, your attention, your cognitive ability, and so on and so forth. if these topics sound interesting, then the next question could be, how are we going to deliver this? So I have a small core team of people that can help us with this. The first, we have Christian Assad. He's a cardiologist, as a director of a cardiometabolic clinic, and he's also Singularity University fellow. He teaches at it, or he's done that in the past. And he's an expert in the technological side and medicine, obviously. He's running an online community with literally hundreds of people where he's changing lives just by teaching them how to eat differently. He has actually treated many of his patients and suspended some of them that had a lot of medication for diabetes and heart disease, and completely eliminated the need for medication just by changing the way they eat. And now he's documenting all of this evidence and starting to, give conferences in different cities. Then we have Brian Koldyke. He was formerly in charge of all talent development for Cisco Systems Worldwide. He has startup experience. He exited his startup. He's a consultant. So he has a multifaceted background, a lot of experience, a very senior guy, and usually works with executive teams. And then, there's myself. And now, final question. Where does this fit within Accelent's offerings? Well, we have the innovation offering. We have conscious business. This offering, NCMTP, we could consider it as a standalone offering, something that you can just sell by itself. Maybe it's a way to get your foot in the door. If conscious business didn't quite resonate for this sales cycle with your customer, innovation offering doesn't quite yet fit the bill, this might be a way of getting the foot in the door. If you tell them, with this, we'll be able to give your people additional time, more work depth, better quality of life, all science-backed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With that said, this also plugs in very nicely with the other offerings. NCMTP could be part of what we're doing when we're working on innovation to answer the question, when would I have the time to do this? Or it could also be part of conscious business, broadly speaking. So that's it. In a nutshell, this is what the presentation is all about. I hope this was a good use of your time. Please give me feedback via email. Do you think this has legs? Should we explore on it a little bit more? We're certainly ready to start selling this. If we put together the deck and do the MVP approach, the materials are ready. Just we need to polish the visuals and test it, that type of stuff. But if you consider the length of the sales cycle and the length of the development cycle, we could get started now, and we can start benefiting from it this year. If on the other hand, you don't think this makes sense, please also let me know. Or if there's changes I need to require, please also let me know. All the information is helpful, and I just appreciate your time for taking a look at this and for providing your feedback. Thank you. Have a great day.